If you've ever been told you're too sensitive, too emotional, or that you need to toughen up, this video will change everything you believe about yourself. Because what the world calls weakness is actually a neurological superpower that only 20% of the population possesses. And the science behind it is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm talking about highly sensitive people, or HSPs. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed in loud environments, if you process emotions deeply, if you notice details others completely miss, if you feel drained after social interactions, or if you've been made to feel like something is wrong with you for feeling so much, you need to hear this. Because you're not broken. You're not weak. You're wired differently. And that wiring makes you capable of things most people can't even imagine. Let's start with a hard science. In 1996, Dr. Elaine Aron, a psychologist and researcher, published groundbreaking work identifying high sensitivity as a distinct personality trait with a biological basis. This isn't a disorder. It's not anxiety. It's not introversion, though many HSPs are introverts. It's a genetically determined trait found in approximately 15 to 20% of the population, and it exists across over 100 species, from fruit flies to primates. HSPs have what scientists call sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. Brain imaging studies show that HSPs have increased activation in areas associated with awareness, empathy, and processing sensory information. Your brain literally works differently. You have more active mirror neurons, which means you feel what others feel more intensely. Your amygdala and insula, areas tied to emotional processing, light up more dramatically when exposed to stimuli. This means your nervous system is calibrated to pick up on subtleties that others completely miss. You're not imagining things. You're not overreacting. Your brain is processing more information, more deeply than the average person. And while society has labeled this as a flaw, evolution kept this trait alive for a reason. Here's where it gets fascinating. HSPs don't just feel more, they think more. One of the core characteristics of high sensitivity is depth of processing. Before you make a decision, before you respond to a situation, your brain is running a complex analysis that most people never engage in. You're constantly asking, what are the implications? What are the patterns? What am I missing? This is why you might seem indecisive to others. You're not indecisive, you're thorough. You're considering angles and consequences that others haven't even noticed exist. This depth of processing makes HSPs exceptional strategists, problem solvers, and advisors. You see the hidden dynamics in relationships. You predict outcomes before they happen. You connect dots that seem invisible to everyone else. In a world that rewards quick reactions and surface-level thinking, your ability to go deep is an incredible competitive advantage if you learn to trust it instead of apologizing for it. Research shows that HSPs excel in roles requiring careful analysis, creativity, and attention to nuance. You're the person who catches the critical error everyone else missed. You're the one who senses attention in the room before it explodes. That's not weakness. That's strategic intelligence. Let's talk about empathy. HSPs don't just understand emotions intellectually. They feel them. Your mirror neurons are so active that when someone near you is in pain, your brain activates the same regions as if you were experiencing that pain yourself. This can be exhausting, yes, but it's also an extraordinary gift. This level of empathy makes you an exceptional friend, partner, parent, leader, and healer. You don't just hear what people say. You hear what they're not saying. You pick up on the micro-expressions, the shifts in energy, the unspoken needs. This makes you someone people instinctively trust and confide in. In leadership, this is transformational. While others lead through authority and control, you lead through understanding and connection. You create psychological safety. You build loyalty not through fear, but through genuine care. Companies are finally waking up to the fact that empathetic leadership drives better outcomes. Higher retention, more innovation, stronger teams. But here's the challenge. You've probably been taught that feeling deeply is a liability. You've been told to not take things personally, to develop thicker skin. But what if the answer isn't to feel less? What if the answer is to protect your sensitivity fiercely while using it strategically? That's where the real power lives. HSPs are disproportionately represented among artists, writers, musicians, and innovators. And there's a reason for that. Your heightened sensitivity to subtlety, beauty, and emotional nuance gives you access to creative depths others simply can't reach. You notice the quality of light at golden hour. You hear the emotional undertones in a conversation. You feel the texture of experiences in a way that translates into art, music, writing, and innovation. Your inner world is rich and complex, and when you channel that into creative expression, the results are profound. But beyond the arts, this creativity shows up in problem solving. You see unconventional solutions because you're processing information from more angles. You innovate because you're not constrained by conventional thinking. Your sensitivity isn't just about feeling. It's about perceiving. And perception is the foundation of all creativity and innovation. Here's something powerful that doesn't get talked about enough. HSPs have an acute sensitivity to injustice. You feel the wrongness of unfair situations in your bones. When you witness cruelty, inequality, or corruption, it doesn't just bother you intellectually. It activates a visceral response. This makes HSPs natural advocates, activists, and change makers. You're the person who speaks up when everyone else stays silent. You're the one who can't ignore suffering. You're driven by a moral clarity that comes from feeling the weight of injustice deeply. History is full of sensitive souls who changed the world precisely because they couldn't tolerate the status quo. Their sensitivity wasn't a weakness. It was a fuel for their courage. Your inability to accept that's just how things are is a revolutionary force. Society needs people who feel deeply enough to demand better. But this also means you need to be strategic. Feeling everything can lead to burnout if you don't channel it wisely. The goal isn't to stop caring. It's to care effectively with boundaries and sustainability. Now, let's be real. Being highly sensitive comes with challenges. You can become overwhelmed easily. You're prone to overstimulation. You might absorb other people's emotions like a sponge, leaving you drained and depleted. Without proper boundaries, your sensitivity can turn from superpower to kryptonite. This is why self-care isn't optional for HSPs. It's essential infrastructure. You need alone time to process. You need environments that don't assault your senses. You need to say no more often than other people do. And you need to stop apologizing for these needs. The strongest HSPs are the ones who've learned to build their lives around their sensitivity, not against it. They create spaces of calm. They curate their social circles carefully. They set fierce boundaries around their energy. They don't try to be less sensitive. They protect their sensitivity like the precious resource it is. Because here's the truth. Your sensitivity is only a weakness if you treat it like one. The moment you honor it, protect it, and wield it consciously, it becomes your greatest strength. You're not too much. The world is too loud. And you have every right to design a life that works for your nervous system. So if you're a highly sensitive person who spent your life being told you're too much, too emotional, too intense, I want you to hear this clearly. They were wrong. Every single person who made you feel like your sensitivity was a flaw was speaking from their own limitations, not yours. Your depth isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Your empathy isn't naivety. It's intelligence. Your emotional intensity isn't instability. It's aliveness. You're not broken. You're not defective. You're rare. And the world desperately needs what you have to offer. The HSPs who thrive are the ones who stop trying to be less sensitive and start building lives that honor their wiring. They choose careers that align with their depth. They surround themselves with people who value sensitivity. They create routines that protect their energy. They stop shrinking and start owning their power. Because the truth is, sensitivity is a form of strength that most people will never access. It takes courage to feel deeply in a world that's numb. It takes bravery to stay open when everyone else is closing down. It takes power to lead with empathy in a culture obsessed with dominance. You're not too sensitive for this world. This world needs more people like you. People who feel, who care, who notice, who create, who fight for what's right. So stop apologizing. Stop dimming your light. The world doesn't need another person pretending to be tough. It needs you exactly as you are in all your sensitive, powerful glory. Own it. Protect it. Use it. Because your sensitivity isn't your weakness. It's your secret weapon. If this resonated with you, you're part of the HSP tribe. Drop a comment telling me which part hit hardest. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's been made to feel weak for being sensitive, share this with them. Let's change the narrative together. Subscribe for more truth bombs about psychology, neuroscience, and what makes you actually powerful. I'll see you in the next one.